Hey everybody, I'm Arglefump, and I am going to solve the case now. I found all the clues. I can solve the mystery, the Blackinton Curse mystery. Proceed to the explanation of the mystery? Yes, I am totally sure. Let's do this. Guy and Cleo are totally gonna figure it out. The explanation! It's raining. It's been raining the whole game. Later that night. Everybody's here, and we get an opportunity to save, which is nice. It's actually very nice. Oh, even the little kids are here, huh? Choose difficulty setting. Let's go with hard mode. Let's go with hard mode. I'm sure. Hard mode is active. We're all here tonight to solve the deaths of Meredith and Trevor Blackington, and to uncover the secrets of the Blackinton Curse. How did it all begin? First, Meredith dies in her home on the family estate grounds last week. At first, it was ruled to be natural causes, but then, in the face of emerging events, the perception changed. Because a sinister figure appeared at the funeral, issues a grave decree to the remaining Blackingtons, Trevor and Cade. That evening, Trevor's murdered. He was on the phone. He said he recognized the culprit. At first, it looked like he was bludgeoned to death by Saul Blackington's antique cane on the family ground. And then the next day, the body of the costumed figure washes up on the river, along with a written confession to both murders. And everything's resolved! After hearing multiple consistent accounts of the story, I started to wonder. This bombastic performance of the ghost certainly got a whole lot of attention. Everybody who witnessed remembered it, down to the small details. The imposing costume, the chilling message, disappearing above the cliff which overlooks the cemetery. But if somebody simply wanted to kill the remaining Blackingtons, why make it difficult by warning them through this grand spectacle? What's the reason behind it? Ryan Valentine was fixated on the curse of the Blackington family. His confession explains that clearly. Fixated on the curse? Why? Mr. Valentine is essentially a drifter, not somebody intimate with the Blackington family. Why would a complete stranger become obsessed with another family's curse legend? By comparison, some of the people in this room have much more straightforward reasons for wanting the Blackingtons dead. Uh-oh, everybody's upset to hear that. First, let's consider Tony. Hey, come on, detective! You were after the Blackington land to use as the new site for your wind farm project. You're even willing to stoop to ruthless and aggressive scare tactics to get it. You told my dog and I that you never approached Mrs. Blackington about selling the land. But she found this clue. It proved you were lying. We found your business card, sir. It was your business card. Your business card left inside the mansion, proving you had been inside to try to buy the land. Alright, that much is true. Yeah, I wanted to buy the land, and I was persistent. So what? Persistent? You did your best to frighten the Blackington brothers into unloading their land. Hey, what are you talking about? You were witness in the evening yesterday, leaving the cemetery with the shovel. The shovel which you used that evening to dig 2 new graves next to Meredith's. You were trying to scare them into giving up their territory. I really wanted that land. That was you? You really don't care how much you frightened all of us as long as you get what you want. Of course, Tony Carson, the builder, wasn't the only one who was eager to buy the Blackington property. Isn't that right, Professor Marshall? I don't know what you're talking about. Really? We're doing this? Everybody's going to lie about the evidence against them? Fine. You dropped something that explicitly expressed your desire to own the Blackington land. That unfinished letter. Cleo found your unfinished letter to Trevor. You were hoping to persuade the Blackington brothers to give the land to the Berkshire College, the Blackington estate, and the possibility of finding another dinosaur fossil would have generated enough money to keep the lights on at the Berkshire Museum. Yes, I discarded that letter because I thought it was inappropriate, but I had nothing to do with that ghost scare we saw. It couldn't have been Professor Marshall wearing that ghost costume. She was present at the funeral. I just know it. But you were not at the funeral. Where were you, and what were you doing at the time of Trevor's Blackington's death? I was, working my shift at the museum. No, that's a lie! You were far away from the museum, trespassing on Blackington's private land. That's where Cleo and I found this item, which you dropped. It was the library card. You lost your library card. Foiled by being a good librarian person. Alright, it's true. I mean, I keep my library card with me wherever I go, even though I have my card number memorized. I don't really need to have it everywhere. You'd been sneaking around the Blackington estate grounds when you thought no one was looking, but somebody did see you. You're seen by Meredith, Blackington, who used this to locate you. Even if she wasn't healthy enough to go wandering around the property, she saw you through the telescope. It's very creepy, somebody sneaking around her property all the time. She glimpsed you from her telescope from the room in the mansion tower. It's seeing you that caused Mrs. Blackington to be on edge, not some supernatural ghost appearance. When Cleo and I first explored the Blackington property, we found chunks of pyrite ore from the mine on the ground. You probably dropped it by mistake, and later Meredith Blackington noticed it. Somebody had been there. She was scared. Yeah, I was on that land. I was looking for dinosaur fossils. I didn't mean to scare old Mrs. Blackington. It was you that she saw? I thought she was just being superstitious. But she had a reason to be concerned, even afraid. If only I had listened. As Mrs. Blackington's caregiver, it was your job to look after her well-being, your professional and moral obligation. Meredith Blackington died of natural causes. How dare you? Cleo and I found this curious item when you were you were responsible for when we searched the mansion. You were it's gotta be the sleeping medication. Meredith Blackington sleeping medication. The new bottle, completely empty. I didn't tamper with her meds. You had a motive. My mom trusted you. You had 100,000 reasons for wanting Meredith Blackington dead. But that was just a drop in the ocean compared to the entire family fortune. There's one person here who had an abundantly clear reason for wanting Meredith Blackington dead. Who, detective? Oh, right. Me. This important legal document we found tells all. It is the will. That's a legal document. Family will! She left her property and her estate to her sons, spurting offers to sell the land. Enough to set you up for life financially. Naturally, Trevor and I would inherit, but that doesn't mean I killed my mother. I was on the West Coast for an audition. Now let's look around here who had the opportunity to kill Trevor Blackington. Alright, I dug the graves. I didn't know someone was really gonna kill Trevor Blackington, though. I was writing the letter to Trevor Blackington to persuade him to donate Hobomox Hill for scientific research. I was trespassing. Fine. I didn't mean to scare anyone. Trevor Blackington called me just before he'd been attacked by the ghost. I was home, trapped by the flooded road. I still say that's a lie. Ryan Valentine was in the church pantry at the time he died. Cody, Casey, and I were out looking for my brother. I was hiding. Hey, that's how hide and seek works? Drew Dickens we can excuse, but what about you, Cade? I already told you. I took some of my mother's sleeping medication because of my anxiety. You can't just steal somebody else's medicine and expect it to be good. Can't you see he's been through a lot? Who had an alibi at the time of Meredith Blackington's death? Like, was it Cade or everyone else? Let's go with everyone else, I guess. No? That's not consistent. Oh no! Oh, I messed up my perfect explanation. Okay, so Cade had an alibi. He was asleep, so he's the only person who couldn't have killed Meredith. That's right, I told you. Who had an alibi at the time? Oh, Meredith's death. I mixed up Meredith with Trevor's. At Trevor's death, everybody had the alibi. So when Trevor was murdered, his brother Cade no longer had an alibi, but now everybody else is covered. I was listening on the phone as Trevor got brutally ambushed and murdered. I heard it happen right outside the mausoleum. The mausoleum? But Trevor Blackington's body was found lying on estate grounds. The coroner said he died instantly. There's no way his body could have been moved such a long distance without the risk of being seen either. How do you explain that? Why was Trevor Blackington's phone call in the cemetery? And why was the phone call made at all? If Trevor had made the phone call just before being ambushed and hunted down by the man in the ghost costume, it should have taken place on the Blackington estate grounds, not the cemetery. Then why? If you first recall, when Cleo and I first arrived at the estate grounds, we were late because of the flood detour. I tried to call your cell phone, you were already here, but I couldn't reach you. Yeah, I remember. I'll try it again, this time using Trevor's phone. No phone service here. It's like I told you anywhere. I told you earlier, hey, Meredith Blackington, she didn't just turn down my offer for a wind farm. She rejected a deal from the phone company to build a tower. I see. So there's no cell phone service at all on Blackington Estate. And nobody would have known any different had it not been overheard by Drew Dickens hiding in the mausoleum. Okay, so why did Trevor call from the cemetery? Why did somebody call from the cemetery? Because that was the place where phone service happens. So the distress phone call to Nurse Ingham came from the cemetery, because that's the only place the phone call could have been made. That's right, I remember. Trevor Blackington received a phone call from Tony during his mother's funeral yesterday. Why would Trevor Blackington call me from the cemetery to tell me he's being attacked on the estate grounds? It must have been a fake phone call, like somebody else was doing the call, or it was like pre-recorded or something. Because the phone call had another purpose. Like, it kind of... It invoked the ghost. Kind of made it seem like the ghost was responsible. The distress phone call to Nurse Ingram was for one reason: to connect the appearance of Saul Blackington's ghost at the funeral to Trevor Blackington's murder. The same person killed Meredith Blackington last week, appeared at the funeral yesterday, and then killed Trevor Blackington later that evening. No, that's what we're, like, not suggesting. That the two murders were entirely separate and somebody was just taking advantage of this ghost stuff. That's what we're meant to believe. That's not what actually happened. Because at the time of the misleading phone call, Trevor was already dead. You better be able to explain what the heck you're talking about. Oh my gosh. Come on, Detective Dudley. Try to keep up. Look, after Meredith's death, there was no talk about murder or supernatural causes. Everybody thought it was a natural death. It wasn't until Ryan Valentine showed up at the funeral in the ghost costume and made the threat to the Blackington brothers, that's when everybody thought about, oh, the supernatural curse, murder. So who killed Meredith Blackington? Nobody. We're saying that it was a normal death. The first assumption was correct. She died a natural death, not murdered. So nobody killed Trevor either? Oh my gosh! Urgh. Come on, we've got like two cases going on here. Look, the mother's death combined with the curse legend inspired the creation of the clever and shocking plan. Oh no! Okay, who killed Trevor? Oh my gosh. It's gotta be Cade. He was murdered by his brother, Cade Blackington. Estate grounds. Trevor and Cade. After emptying the bottle of sleep medication to throw suspicion on his mother's nurse, Cade, he said, oh no, I was asleep, but he wasn't. He went back here. He lured Trevor into the estate grounds, and then he killed him. Oh no, no cell phone service here. I can't do my plan of the ghostly phone call. So then he snuck through the woods to get to the cemetery. As it happened, he was hiding by the walls of the mausoleum and created that witness, Drew Dickens. He's an actor, and he was able to imitate his brother. So the voice I heard coming from the cemetery was the urgent voice I heard on the phone. Who called him? It was Cade. It was Cade. It's terrible cell phone reception, right? And remember, we're talking about two people who hadn't been in town for like 20 plus years. So it makes sense nobody really recognized the voices perfectly. The voice on the phone was spoken by a professional actor delivering a convincing performance. Trevor Blackington was played convincingly by his brother Cade. None of the residents were on close terms with the brothers, who both lived far away, so nobody's familiar with the sound of his voice. The killer attempted to get rid of the victim's phone, but it was recovered by Dana Laskin. Hey, what about Ryan Valentine? Why did he dress up like the ghost at the funeral? Why was he killed? Cleo and I found this item left by him in the basement. Another one like it by the ridge on the river. It confirms he was in both places before his body washed downstream. Cigarette butts. Found both of them. Ryan Valentine was a desperate man, and he was just who Cade Blackington needed. Somebody to appear at the funeral to create an alibi for himself. For a promise of pay, of course. Soon word would get out about Trevor Blackington's murder, and Ryan Valentine knew too much. He had to be silenced. Dang it, that was my last cigarette. Where's that rich trust fund brat? I've been waiting here a long time. I'm getting cold. Hey man, that you? Yes, sir. Thank you for your patience. Good, I'm feeling a little jittery up here after what happened, and why are we meeting up here anyway? Hope you got the money for me like you promised, since I'd done the job at the funeral for you. I even did my best to scare away that pesky detective and his dog, just like you asked. Of course, I've got something for you right here. You did a good job. Take this. Hey, wait, this doesn't look like money. This looks like a fake confession that you... Just put it in your coat pocket, quickly now. I confess? Ha 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 ha! Push. Then you killed your accomplice by pushing him off the ledge. As the saying goes, he took the fall for you. A terrible time for a dad joke. This is ridiculous. If I killed my brother, where's the murder weapon? He's right, detective. You are absolutely certain that Trevor Blackington wasn't bludgeoned to death by that antique walking stick that turned up near his body? Frankly, it was humiliating. If you're sure he's stabbed to death, you should have turned up a knife or a sword or something sharp like that. Can you produce such a murder weapon? I didn't realize I had to do that. What? I would have been looking for that if I'd known I had to do it. Actually, I believe I can. The description at the industrial wing of the Berkshire Museum noted Saul Blackington carried a weapon with him for protection. It was a little sword. It's probably one of those swords that you hide inside a cane, right? It said Saul Blackington knew everything that went on in the mine, even when he was off site. Anybody who complained loudly enough was met by the swift blade of his rapier sword, which he kept close at all times. He had a sharp rapier sword at all times. This is just a walking stick. I believe this heavy antique cane is actually his real walking stick, but there's something more that's special about it. I see, it's just like the secret room in the mansion my ancestor built for him. The sword is concealed inside the cane. I guess that explains why we couldn't find a murder weapon anywhere. We actually had it the whole time. Out of my way! Hey, no running away. After him! Oh, man. Do I chase him? Where'd he go? Officer Bailey, help! The suspect went to Hobomox Hill. This hill? Dudley! You fool. Hurry, he went that way. You help me, Dudley! You'll never get me in here! In the mine? No, you fool! That mine is filled with arsenic! And other deadly things. The mine's collapsing! Epilogue. Hill Cemetery. Oh, look, there's a doggy. I guess the legendary Blackinton Curse has claimed a final victim. You know, Dudley, I don't really think there was a curse at all. What about the death of the original mine builder, wealthy industrialist from 150 years ago? He didn't die from the legend of the hill. He was poisoned. Poisoned? Somebody murdered him too? No. He made a serious... He was poisoned by the arsenic. Yeah. Saul's Blackington's death happened because when he made a serious error in judgment. His sudden untimely death was caused by the drinking water. Cleo and I tested the water on the hill using the scientific kit we found. The mining operation caused a high amount of arsenic to contaminate the water, and he was all over the mines because he owned them. That's what killed Saul Blackington. It's just like the sign in the museum said. To celebrate a particularly successful production milestone, he commissioned a feast complete with wild turkey, local vegetables, and water from the pond. He was found dead afterwards. So, no curse, no murder. How about Meredith? What about her husband? He died when the kids were young. Tragedy struck a new generation of Blackingtons. My husband was killed by a falling rock. My young son saw the whole thing. Are we cursed? It sounds like a freak accident. There's some subtext in the journal that can be taken into consideration. Mr. Blackington was murdered. What? Really? Who killed him then? Oh, what? I have no idea where we could get that from. Is it Meredith? Kill her own husband? No. Probably Cade. Cade saw the whole thing happen because Cade threw the rock that fell on him. That's pure speculation. Where are you getting this from? That strange music she left to her son Trevor was a warning. Musical warning? The Curse Saw This was the title of the music. There's a double meaning. The Curse left this. Left, as in the notes played by the left hand on an organ or a piano keyboard. It just sounds like spooky organ music to me. The notes to be played by the left hand are C-A-D-E. Spells Cade. That's the reason all this happened. Young Cade killed his father and his mother covered up the death. Trevor sent to boarding school for protection. Cade was kept on the estate so his mother could keep a close eye on his murderous self. Well, that does explain the unusual dynamics of the Blackington family. Since I was a boy in this town, I've been tormented by the horror of the Blackington Curse legend. I realized I was unable to control the greed and cruelty of my nature. Cade was the one who was fixated on the family curse. When he wrote that fake confession to implicate Valentine, he was just writing about himself. Well done, Detective Guy, and Cleo, too. I was right all along, though, pretty much. I had the suspect in the weapon, even if my methodology was, all wrong. The dinosaur fossil that we found was donated to the museum. The two adventurous detectives were rewarded handsomely. And Cleo found 35 of the 40 doggy bags. Cleo got a bowl as a reward for her hard work. It's a shame, though. Can this really be the end of the illustrious Blackington family line in spite of all their money and property? In the unfortunate event of multiple untimely immediate family deaths, the estate passes on to any remaining distant Blackington relatives. Alright, but there are no more Blackingtons to be found? Yep. Hey kids, what's up? I'm a Blackington. It's true, when I introduced myself to you and my dog earlier, I told you my name is Casey Blount. My name's an anagram. When you rearrange the letters in Casey Blount, you get Blackington. My parents keep my identity a secret because of our family's dark past. Are your parents not related to the Blackingtons? Like, huh? Now thanks to you, I'm safe. Now the four of us have one last request for you and your dog. What's that? Can Cleo play a game of hide and seek with us? Please? Oh, the doggy said yes. 1, 2, 3. That's the end of the adventure this time. Thanks for supporting the game. If you enjoyed it, leave a review or check out the other games in the Murderous Game Over series. The end. Yeah, this was a fun little game. Liked it. Story and the mystery. Yeah, I definitely did the mystery thing where we have a bunch of different suspects and each one seems to have their own little little piece of evidence. Oh yeah, the artwork was pretty cool too. These are the credits, obviously. I'm just glad I was able to find out the mystery solution there at the end. I was really worried that, you know, the big final confrontation at the end would be me doing a bunch of terrible guessing. But I only got like 2 or 3 of the answers wrong. I don't feel bad because the one that I did get wrong was mixing up the 2 Blackington murders. But I misread it. Sorry. So this game was released in 2025. I think February 2025. Again, thanks to Matthew and Amanda for getting me a copy of this game. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.